Good morning, YouTube. So I've been working with the latest update on Home Assistant. This is the 8.6 version. So one of the features they added was they have this energy dashboard. So this is a small version of that. You can also come over here to the energy tab, or they have a direct link right here. So you've got your energy usage. This is what's coming from the grid. I have here a utility energy sensor, and that's recording every hour how many kilowatt hours were used. And then if we scroll down here, I also set up an energy sensor for my grid tie system. So that's recording there. Starting at 8 a.m. we got 0.13 kilowatt hours and then 0.15. And then they combine those into this. Here's your solar production, here's the grid consumption, all feeding the house. This is a external sensor that's based on your location, and they work out the percentage of the grid power that you're using, where that came from, and then they work out a non-fossil energy consumption percentage there. And then you've got your totals down here. You can also set up your cost per kilowatt hour. Now these two things here, the grid tie and the utility energy data, is coming from my Vera controller, which is over here. So for instance, this is my utility power here on my Vera, and then my grid tie power is right here. Anyway, I was having trouble getting this set up, because there's supposedly some sort of mismatch between the data that the Vera controller collects and is sent over here to Home Assistant. So for instance, right here, here's that same sensor. So on the Vera here, 162 watts. We come over here on Home Assistant, 162 watts. There's my power. And it's got these particular readings. There's current power W is the 162 watts. There's a kilowatt hour total. And then 149 is the Vera or Z-Wave device ID. So that shows up here, but you can't directly get this number over here. So there's several steps you have to do that. So I thought I'd make this video to show you how to do that. The way you set those up is you come over here to configuration. Where did we go? Here we go, energy. Like I said, I created this sensor called utility energy. And if I want to add consumption here, I could not get the Vera sensor to show up here. And if you click on this right here, it brings up this web page here that says, if you can't find it in the drop-down, that's caused by a bug in the integration providing the entity, and you're supposed to open an issue with the author of the integrations. I don't know exactly who that is or what's going on there, but I found a really easy way to work around that. Let's see, I can show you over here first. We can look at one of those. So for instance, here's the Home Energy Monitor. This is the sensor that was imported from the Vera controller. So this is the Aeotec Home Energy Monitor Generation 5. It's Z-Wave device 149. And here are the current readings. And then this is the name in Home Assistant. You can see it's got all that data there, but I think there's like too much data. I'm not sure the exact reason that this doesn't come in, but there's something that Home Assistant doesn't like about that. Here I have the file editor integration, and I'm editing the /config/configuration.yaml file. So this is where all your configuration is. So for instance, my Vera integration, here's the IP address of the Vera controller and the port number 3480. That's just to get your Vera connected to Home Assistant. And you can actually do that through the UI if you want to when you're setting things up. This is the key bit of magic, I guess, that pulls the Vera data into Home Assistant in the right form that it's happy with it. So it's what's called a template, and you're creating a new sensor called utility power, and you're saying that the state of the utility power is that sensor.hemg5_149 that was in the developer tools here, and then you're using the current_power_W, reading the watts value of that sensor into the state of the utility power. I'm not sure what the root cause of this issue is. I think it's somehow related to the fact that there's more than one thing in here. There's also current energy under kWh, and there's various other pieces of data in this sensor, and I think they want this utility power sensor to be one number that's watts. So you tell it that it's reading watts, and here's how you get the watts. And then my grid tie, it's the same thing, except it's Home Energy Monitor Generation 1, device ID 17. And so that creates these two new sensors called utility power and grid tie power. You can name those things anything you want. And then there's a couple more things you have to do. One is they have this recorder feature in Home Assistant that says record all this data, and all you have to do is put recorder : and that turns it on. And then there's two more things that happen here. You define some new sensors that are based on statistics and integration. So the two down here, this is the statistics that's enabled by the recorder. So you're basically telling it to record the utility power sensor data. Just save it all as it comes in, and this is updated like every 15 seconds from my Vera controller. And then the key part here, they have this integration platform or package that's in Home Assistant. This is different than integrations, which is like what the Vera or Grafana or Influx or any of these things are integrations. This is mathematical integration. So it basically says take the utility power and integrate that over time and create a new sensor called utility energy, and then you have three different methods to do that integration. You can either do a trapezoidal integration or left or right Riemann sum, and then the units are K kilowatt hours and round it to 2 decimal places. And then there's still one more thing you need to do is down here, this dashboard thing is controlled by this utility meter section. So you have this utility energy that you created here. So there you tell it, I've got this thing I'm calling utility energy that comes from sensor.utility energy, and I'm going to do a monthly cycle on it. So I'm going to record energy for a month, and then I'm going to reset to 0 and start recording again. This is where you pull the data in from your Vera. This is where you tell it to save that data. This is where you generate the energy data from the power data, and then this brings that energy data into the utility meter dashboard. So that's the roundabout way of doing that. So what I want to do here is I want to create a new sensor. I'm going to try to save the power and energy that my refrigerator uses. We'll call that refrigerator power. But what I can do is we'll come over here to overview, and let's see, kitchen. Here's my refrigerator device, and if we look at the settings, it's on a smart switch. So I want to copy that. Yeah, so then the other thing is it also has this current power W attribute, and that's what I want to use. And there's the device ID, and you can see this smart switch is recording kilowatt hours. I think the main issue is that the Vera controllers record a cumulative kilowatt hour number. So every time this changes, they keep bumping this number up. But Home Assistant wants a daily and monthly total of kilowatt hours, and I guess they have trouble converting between a cumulative kilowatt hour and a daily or a monthly value. Here we are at the file editor, so now I've got my refrigerator power, and I want to change this right there. So switch.refrigerator_25 current power W is my refrigerator power sensor. So then what I need to do is come down here, I'll copy and paste, and then I want to take this refrigerator power and I'll put that there. So now I say save all the refrigerator power data. So yeah, now I've got a copy there to integrate it. So I need to get refrigerator power, and that'll be this one here. Now I'm creating a refrigerator energy sensor. So I'm saying integrate the refrigerator power over time and call that refrigerator energy. And then in the utility meter section, I tell it to create this refrigerator energy entry in the utility meter section that comes from this refrigerator energy sensor that we created up above. And I have a green check mark, so I'm going to save. I have to go to the supervisor, and it's just off screen, but I'll come over here. I clicked on the system tab, and what you need to do to get the configuration file read in is you've got to restart the core. The core has restarted here, and if we go up here and look, nothing's different. We don't get anything there. You have to come down here to energy. Now I added an individual device. Oh, there, now it showed up. So now refrigerator energy shows up here as a device that I can add. So now I'm tracking the amount of energy my refrigerator uses. And let's see what that looks like here. So there's nothing there. And okay, that adds this new line down here. Refrigerator energy. So it looks like a bar. Now, it will take about 2 hours for any data to start showing up here. It takes a while to create all the devices, and then I believe it also has to record some amount of energy, like 1/10 of a kilowatt hour. Until you get to a certain reading, it won't show up here. I'll come back later today and we'll see what this looks like. Okay, it's early afternoon now, and things have updated a bit. And then finally, the refrigerator energy is kicked in. Yeah, so it's used 1/10 of a kilowatt hour so far since I added that sensor earlier in the video. And then I added my laser printer in there. I guess it hasn't used enough energy to register. And then I've also done the same with my hybrid inverter diversion load. So it showed up. I also added one for diversion load 1, but that hasn't kicked in yet. Oh, and here we go. There's some updates now. So here's the refrigerator is used 0.17 kilowatt hour. The diversion load is used 1/10 of a kilowatt hour. And the laser printer is used 0.02. So I guess that'll total up every day. So you can look at it day by day. So yeah, if you have any questions about that, I'll try to answer those. Post up in the comments section below. And as always, thanks for watching.